Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, a production of Gore column in which we take the time to speak to small cap executives right after they put out important news. And we don't have one piece of news to talk about. We got three to talk about with Spiro Curry, CEO, TGS Esports, trades on the venture under the stock symbol TGS, great symbol. And for our friends in Europe on Frankfurt under 5RH. Now, as you can infer from the name, clearly the company's in the esports business, but not all of you will know it because they just listed in the summer. It's a new story for a lot of people. Founded in 2018, already becoming a leader in esports events, sponsorship, and production. They're putting on many online esports tournaments every single week. And some of those sponsors are the likes of Pepsi, Red Bull, Shaw Cable, 7-Eleven. They're doing broadcasts for live esports that include events like NHL 20, NBA 2K, Fortnite, Call of Duty. And their content is everywhere. On Twitch, they're lighting it up, thousands of hours, people watching everywhere. And they've also got the content on GINX Esports TV. It's customized for Canada, but leaves the potential open for 50 countries. Here to talk about the update on their proposed acquisition of Pepper Esports, their intent to acquire Volcanic Media, and the formation of Discovery Management is Spiro. Welcome back, man.
Hey, George. Thanks for having me again.
Hey, look, we have to have you. You almost burned up the tape on our side because it's not just one, it's three. I love the fact that you're growing as fast as esports is growing. So before I ask you specific questions about each one of those, because we all want to know more, man, how does it feel? How big has this been this last 60 days for TGS?
Yeah, it's been massive. I mean, we as a company have always kind of had a vision that we wanted to get to, and that vision is to be a leader in the space, not just in the tournament space, but just overall. And so, we're constantly analyzing the different areas within the industry that we're not in or that we can improve on, and then looking to grow within those areas. And our corporate growth strategy has always been, we identify. And then we look internal, and if we feel like we need some external help, that's when we look down the acquisition road. So the M&A opportunities for us are massive, and so that's kind of how we approach each one of those. So with two of them that we'll talk about today, Pepper and Volcanic, very specialized and difficult to replicate internally. So we went external. Discover Management, we were able to leverage some internal resources and able to kind of launch that ourselves with a couple of minority partners. And so different corporate growth strategies, different opportunities for us, but that's kind of how we approach the industry today.
Yeah, that's smart. And one more comment to that, maybe for you to add before we get to those, is esports is just growing out of control, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, and so the environment is there for you to grow with it. You're not forcing a square peg into a round hole here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the whole industry, since I've been a part of it, it's all about being nimble and being flexible because there are new and emerging things happening every single day, whether it's new games that are launching, whether it's new tournament formats that are being presented, whether it's new broadcasting opportunity on network television, high schools, universities. There are so many different things happening every day that this is not an industry where you can look at a playbook and say, okay, we're going to do this, this, and this. You have to be able to pivot and be flexible. And that's kind of where our growth strategy comes in. We may not always have the opportunity to have someone internally be at the forefront, but there are so many people out there that are. And if somebody is, how can we align with that person and have them join our family? And that's the strategy we've kind of accomplished so far and going to push as we go forward.
Yeah, esports is going through what I would call the Big Bang Theory. It's like the Big Bang Theory. This is just the beginning of the growth of the universe. We don't even know how far things are going to reach in the next decade, but to see you this active is awesome. So let's go through the list.
Sure.
First thing, the biggest thing, you've got this proposed acquisition of Pepper Esports, and now you receive conditional approval from the venture exchange. What can you tell us about that acquisition and when it'll wrap up and how it's going?
Yeah, so the wrapping up is imminent. I mean, we received conditional approval from the TSX. We've addressed the conditions that they've requested of us, so we feel like we're in a good spot there. So at this point, it's imminent that closing will happen, and we'll be able to officially welcome them into the family. Having said that, since we announced the LOI back in September, we've been working hand in hand at a bunch of different opportunities, and we've already seen what it's done for us corporately. We've we've been able to bring a couple contracts on board, and we've been able to secure
Nice.
some amazing partnerships just based on this ecosystem that we're building. The beauty of the Pepper platform is not only is it like an all-in-one suite of tools for people, but it's still under development. So the beta right now, if you go to pepper.gg, there are events listed. It's in a beta. They're working with us hand in hand to make sure that we can stress the system. Obviously we want to try to break it to see what we can do to fix it.
Yeah, you want to see how far you can go, right?
Push it as far as possible. And then the plan right now is for a Q1, probably March, a Q1 launch where we're ready to go with pretty much all the features available. Now, the beauty of that is when we're talking to some groups now, they may have specific requests or things that they need for their endeavor. And so because we're still under development and we're building towards that goal, we have the ability, as we talked about a second ago, to be flexible, and we can make changes based on a partner. Of course, there are development costs that come along with that, but if it's fruitful for everybody involved,
If it's a feature that you think other corporations are probably going to want to have going, it's like Salesforce.com, right? It started off as a small platform, and they just kept adding on, and everyone started. By the way, for everyone who's watching for the first time, in 30 seconds, I know what Pepper Esports is as a tournament platform, but maybe give everyone the big picture, 30,000 square feet, and what they do and why the acquisition is so huge for you guys.
Sure. Pepper is an online esports tournament platform that allows anyone around the world to run, operate, facilitate, and basically close via payouts any esports tournament, and it's totally free for anybody to use. The beauty of their platform is the tools that it has allows anyone to run these events and communicate with the players in these events all within one tool. So you don't have to use multiple pieces of software to run a tournament anymore. Everything is under one, whether it's leaderboards, scoring, prize payouts, registration. You can sell merchandise through it. So it's an all-in-one suite of tools for anyone out there looking to run or participate in an esports tournament, and it's absolutely free to use. So that's Pepper in a nutshell, and pepper.gg is the website if anybody wants to go and see kind of what's going on there.
And for everybody at home watching or listening, let me tell you how powerful pepper.gg is. It's the exact solution Agoracom has been waiting for, because one engagement tool we've always wanted is how do we host some tournaments so that TGS, one of our clients, can play against 3D Capital and Sheldon, Inwintosh, something like that. They have a tournament. Shareholders are watching. It's engaging. There's payouts. There's fun. The problem is nobody had it. And what was out there was bits and pieces. So I'd do the playing over here, but I'd use my own email over here. And then it was just a mess. So we never did it because it just seemed like too big of a mess. Now, as soon as Pepper is ready to go out of beta, you can bet that you're going to see multiple esports tournaments hosted by Agoracom, company versus company. Shareholders are watching, swag. We're doing a payout to the winning team. We're doing payouts randomly to shareholders who are engaging at the time, just to make it a lot of fun. So I love Pepper. I think it's genius.
Thank you.
Next up is Volcanic, digital media startup, and you've announced an intent to acquire them. Tell us about Volcanic.
Yeah, Volcanic is the brainchild of a friend of ours named Sean Caldera, and Sean started this because he noticed a gap about 2.5 years ago in high school esports. Specifically, he was living in northern British Columbia, and there's a desire there from the high schools to run some esports tournaments. So he started off with a local high school and has since grown it to now feature multiple school districts. He's brought post-secondary institutions under his belt. Now, not only do they run and organize esports tournaments and events, but they also have an in-class scholastic program. And we're actually working with a school district in Vancouver to launch the first one, where we have an in-class scholastic program, which includes equipment, a curriculum that we provide. But basically what Volcanic has done is they've taken the high school and university space and figured out a way to promote esports within them and be their contact to run esports events. The big thing about, and I'll speak to high school specifically, but it does pertain to universities as well, is they face a few different challenges. Number one, there are always financial limitations. Number two, there's infrastructure, right? Like classroom sizes, there's already not enough classroom space. Equipment's really, really expensive. They need to upgrade the internet, all of these things that come along with having, high-end PCs at your facility. And lastly, finding a teacher who's willing to take on that curriculum or take on that learning. And so what Sean was able to build was a program where all of that's included. And so the school can actually charge interested students a fee, and that fee would cover, again, equipment, curriculum development, teaching,
Right.
all of that stuff.
And,
TGS, go ahead. Sorry, George.
and for anyone, by the way, who's watching at home and maybe thinking high school, what the hell has esports got to do with high school? Let me tell you something. There's a company called Play Versus in the US that's setting up a high school league, connecting leagues. They've received 30-40 million dollars in VC funding, and I think TGS is going to be able to provide a better platform at the end of the day, because it doesn't cost as much, but it's big. And high schools are doing it. Why, right, Spiro? Because not everybody.
Yeah.
Look, I'm 6'4". I was 6'4", 215 pounds in high school, so I could play midfield soccer team, spiker on the volleyball team, and that was easy for me. But there are a lot of people who aren't 6'4", 215 pounds. They can't play basketball, volleyball, football, soccer. Esports actually becoming that competitive spirit, right?
Yeah, 30% of all gamers internationally, this is based on a study that was done about 2 months ago, 30% of all gamers around the world are under the age of 18. And that's a huge number.
Sure.
And so when you look at that number is growing because of the young folks that are now playing, Nintendo Switch and these other consoles, games like Roblox and Minecraft that are definitely targeted towards a bit of a younger demographic. That's a massive market. And that market up until recently was being missed because everybody was focused on the 19 to 35-year-old age demographic due to the disposable income. Now, here's the beauty of what we're able to offer. Companies like Playversus, who I think are phenomenal, are doing a great job at the high school space. The difference with us is we're building an ecosystem with multiple branches that all tie into each other. And so when we talk about the Pepper acquisition and the Volcanic acquisition, well, guess what? Any Volcanic event can actually be run utilizing the Pepper platform, and that Pepper platform is free to use. So when we go speak to high schools, specifically here in Canada, we're actually able to offer them a league or a tournament opportunity with zero cost to them.
And that's everything, right? Because they're stretched budgets. You walk in there and ask for $100, they have to run it through a committee. It's free. Boom.
It's free. We're partnering with teachers. We're partnering with school districts that love that approach. And the biggest thing too is because of the way Pepper is set up, and I'll speak to Canada specifically, their servers are in Canada. And there's a lot of issue with secondary and post-secondary institutions around data privacy. And so by having a Canadian server, all of the data that we're getting is stored in Canada. And that's vitally important to these schools.
Because you don't want going offshore to some third world country and
they start getting spammed with, gambling messages or whatever. And so the beauty of Pepper is Volcanic can now infiltrate the schools through the process that they've already built. They can utilize Pepper to actually run and facilitate, and they now have the backbone of the TGS experts that can come in and help facilitate and run these events, as experts.
I just love that. Volcanic goes to schools, they run it off Pepper, they broadcast it through TGS.
Exactly.
I mean, that's just a beautiful, seamless. How can anyone say no to that at the end of the day?
Yeah, and that's the ecosystem we're building. When we approach these acquisitions, and we'll talk about Discover and how that fits into it. It's all about creating this all-encompassing experience. So with one phone call, when somebody calls us, they can ask us what we can do, and the answer is we can A to Z. Like, we can run everything for you, and we have the software. It all stays in one place, and you're never going to have a challenge with with dealing with multiple organizations, which is a huge problem.
For everyone at home, how do you generate revenue though? So if it's free for Agoracom to create this tournament, you got TGS CEOs, executive team playing 3D Capital executive team, everyone's watching. How do you generate revenue? And realize, by the way, that's a small example because you guys are obviously looking at big tournaments with big organizations, but how do you guys, big or small, how do you generate the revenue in between?
Yeah, it's a great question. So from a corporate perspective right now, when we offer these services to a brand or a partner, we're offering it as a consultant, and there's a fee to hire our whole team. So, we're working on some contracts right now, and we'll be press releasing those out, later. But basically what we offer is like, when you come to us as a brand and say, we want to go bigger, we want to have a prize pool, we want to open this up to anyone in North America. Okay, we can do all that. Here's what it would cost you as a partner to run it. When it comes to Pepper itself, Pepper has a multi-tier monetization strategy, but basically, to make it simple, it's a a fee taken off transactions. So for you to set up an Agoracom tournament, it's totally free to do that. However, if you decide that you want to charge an entry fee into that tournament,
Right.
Pepper takes a fee of that
Sure,
transaction.
rightfully
Then
so.
on the back end, if you as the tournament organizer want to use Pepper to automate your payouts when the tournament is over, so you don't have to do it manually, there's a fee to utilize the system to do that.
Totally
And then
worth it.
yeah, and then of course, yeah, the man hours saved is ridiculous. And then also Pepper has integration, you know, like head-to-head matches, so I can challenge you to a head-to-head match for, you know, maybe we put $5 on the line or $10 on the line, and then also merchandise. Anyone has the ability to create their own store. It has Shopify integration, and then you can sell merchandise to promote yourself or your organization through Pepper. And again, those are transaction fees that are happening. So
yeah, swag's a big deal nowadays, right? Every
totally.
organization wants to have really wicked, cool swag.
Exactly. And so the platform itself is free. And if Agoracom was running a free tournament and did that, TGS wouldn't make a penny, and that's fine. But if you look at the landscape,
But it's
right
also a lead generate. Even if you don't make a penny off us, it's a lead generation tool, right? Because inevitably this happened to us. You're gonna have a couple of people watching and saying, "Man, this is really great. My company, my employer, my organization should be using this." So even if you don't make a penny off of Agoracom, which you will, but even if you didn't make a penny, you'd still pretty much bet that you got decision makers who are just participating and saying, "Man, I got to use this. I love this. I got to use this for my business."
Yeah, and the majority of tournaments that are run online are run in you know, I would call them like smaller community circles. Those ones, I don't know the percentage, but it's high, have a fee to enter. It's rare that you actually see free tournaments. The reason TGS's tournaments are free is because we're working with sponsors and brands and partners who are paying us to make the tournament free.
Right.
And we as an organization have our business set up that way. But like prior to TGS, when I was a part of local community tournaments, we were charging like anywhere from $10 to $60 to enter a tournament, right? And so for people who are running those, that's how you make your money. Like that's how you pay your prize pool, because for a community-based tournament, you can't go out and sell a couple $1,000s in sponsorship. The money that comes in from the tournament is the money that's used to run and pay the prize pool for that tournament. So the majority, I would argue over 90% of the tournaments that we see right now have some sort of registration buy-in model. And
it
so
makes it more interesting. I know for a fact that if I create an esports tournament, I could easily get 50 guys to put in $20 each, create $1,000 pool, use some of that money to pay TGS, and then split the rest among the top 3 or 4. And they would gladly pay. You know why? Because it makes it more interesting, right?
Yep.
$20 on the line, I could potentially win a $250 first prize. They're not going to buy a Lamborghini with it, but when there's a couple of bucks on the line, it's just a better tournament. So no doubt it's going to, no doubt. I mean, I can't wait to see how many tournaments I launch for Agoracom. They're going to be free, but you know, the clients playing each other, giving out payouts to the shareholders who are watching, and how many tournaments we have with buddies. So I'm going to say, hey, let's play, let's get online and let's have a tournament, make it interesting.
Yeah, I love it. No, it's exactly what we're building towards.
Last of this is Discover Management. You're forming that, and that's to support the next wave of gaming creators, influencers, and streamers. Which, by the way, when you say next wave, you're talking about 10 years of next wave, because you said something earlier. 30% of people playing esports are under the age of 18. So you know there's going to be a next wave of creators, gaming creators, influencers, and streamers for the next decade, man. So I think this is really smart to be able to be forming. So what's Discover Management? Sounds like it's going to be an agency, right? But why don't you give us more insight on that?
Yeah. And to address what you just said, you know, there was a stat that I read just over 2 years ago, and it said that Twitch had about 2.5 million content creators on their platform. Twitch is, you know, Amazon owned #1 live streaming service in the world. They had 2.5 million. I just checked the stat about a week and a half ago. It's now just over 7 million. So there's 7 million people actively creating content on Twitch's platform. And they're getting close to 2 billion hours watched every single month. And so the content creation space is growing in leaps and bounds. And so for us, you know, we're in an interesting position. #1, we work with a lot of content creators as influencers to help promote our events that we do. They promote them on their live stream or on their YouTube channel, and then they play in the tournaments to interact with their fans. And #2, we have a lot of brands that we work with. You mentioned some of them that are looking to get into the space, but they don't have the bandwidth to sift through all of the people that are like
No.
7 million people and find the ones that are right for their brand. And so when we got approached kind of on both sides of the coin, we said, it makes sense for us to kind of act as a middleman here. And what we can do is we can
100%.
take, yeah, we can take this next wave of content creators and we can manage them. So by managing them, we bring brand deals to them. We advise them on contracts. One of our partners, Marius Adomnica from Segev, he's a esports lawyer. He's a partner in the company, so he's there now to provide legal advice. You know, these guys need to learn how to set up their LLC properly and make sure they're paying themselves. So when they go to buy a house one day, they actually have a salary. They're not just saying, "Oh, I'm a streamer and I'm making," because like that's a huge problem in the industry right now. So we're able to offer that side. And then also for the brands, again, we're now a conduit to get their branding in front of these streamers. So the management group basically acts as that, as a talent manager.
Yep.
We help, we advise, we bring brand deals, we help negotiate contracts on their behalf, and more importantly, we try to drive as many eyeballs to them as possible.
And if I can add, like I'd like to, because I just love esports, right?
Mhm.
A lot of people don't. Well, a lot of people in Gorecom know this. We're the first firm to jump on esports back in 2016.
Mm.
People thought we were insane, right? They're like, "What are you talking about?" And here we are. You know what I love about Discover Management, Spiro? What you guys are doing? There are 7 million people on Twitch right now. There are 7 who are streaming, right?
Mhm.
Some obviously there's a huge percentage of that that's doing for fun, right?
Yeah.
They don't now and then. So you're not going to get that side. Then there's the really top of the heap. You got guys like Ninja. For people
Mm.
at home, you may not know that name, but the Kim Kardashian of streaming on Twitch. You got
That's a good way
Ninja,
to put it. Yeah, I
who's
like that.
making $500,000 a month. So that's probably out of TGS's league for
Yep.
now, right?
Yep.
But there's going to be a big fat piece right in the middle there of guys who aren't just doing it for fun, and or girls, by the way, or guys or girls, people that aren't so high end that they're the LeBron James and they're out of your reach. So you're going to have, I think, you're going to have your pick of the litter. Because there's going to be so many of them. We're going to be looking for tie-ins. There are going to be so many corporations. Look, a Gorecom might come to you at one point and say, "Look, I want an influencer on Twitch, or I want an influencer out there that can talk about esports investing. Just
Sure.
letting people know about, hey, there's TGS, there's this company, there's that company,
Sure.
and you're going to find them. So I think Discover Management is going to turn out to be potentially something really great that you guys are doing.
It's huge. And then, to touch on how it feeds into what we're building, now these content creators have a partner in TGS that can help them run their own esports tournaments, and they can utilize Pepper to run those esports tournaments, and they can create a group on Pepper under the streamer's name.
Yep.
And anytime they do something, that community is being built on that platform. So what we're able to do is we're able to acquire customers into our ecosystem through these partners that we have, and for them, they're now able to utilize us to offer more to their community to grow their eyeballs on their streams, which we can then sell to brands at a higher dollar value.
It's just this beautiful cyclone going up and up
Exactly.
and up.
It's this ecosystem we've
Yeah.
created where anything that is a part of our family has to touch every other thing that we do, because at the end of the day, it all feeds into one bigger picture.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's
the
what we've
genius, right?
built, and Discover is obviously going to be a very big part of that as we push forward.
Spiro, thanks for joining us today, man. I mean, I love what you guys are doing. I love esports. You guys just came on in the summertime, and look at the kind of things you're doing. Acquiring, for everyone home again, acquiring Pepper Esports, an intention to acquire Volcanic, and forming Discover Management. Spiro and his team are moving, and you got to be moving in the world of esports, because if you're not, someone else is going to blast right by you. Last word to you, Spiro. We're in December right now.
Mhm.
What does 2020 look like? Well, more 2021, but where does the company go over the next year in terms of just growth?
Yeah, no, it's a fun one to ponder. I mean, our corporate growth strategy has been M&A opportunities, and it's been identifying key industries where we feel like there's maybe a gap in what we're offering and bringing that into the family. So we'll definitely be continuing that. We'll continue exploring those corporate growth strategies. And then, one thing that's kind of, been really fruitful for us recently has been, of course, the ability to white label our services. There are a lot of brands out there looking to get into this space now and are looking for a partner. And we've recently engaged in a couple of white label opportunities. On top of that, we're looking to break into new markets. So, we've got some partnerships in the US and Mexico. We just ran a tournament this past Saturday with a partner in Mexico called Nacion Gamer that had 13,000 people register for it.
Come on.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
and that's only residents of Mexico. So we're expanding our footprint internationally. But the big thing for us, George, is with a lot of people, we're looking towards what's going to be happening with COVID to see if there's a world where we can put some live events back on for people in our community and communities all over Canada, because that's kind of what brings our community together in the real sense. And esports was built and founded by these communities getting together in person and playing. So we're going
to connect you with a couple of our clients. Loop Insights, Empower. We're going to connect you with a couple of clients. That's what they're doing. They're creating travel bubbles. They've created a venue bubble for NCAA tournaments.
I love it.
They can create a venue. They got the venue bubble right now, just so you can put on an esports tournament in a couple months. I'll make sure I connect you guys.
Please do. Yeah, I would love that.
Thanks, man.
Okay, George.
So great. Look, we could talk for another hour.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure, my friend.
We'll save some for later. But congratulations on how 2020 is ending up for you. I'm really proud of you guys and really excited to see what you guys are going to do in the next 12, 24, 36 months.
Appreciate it. And thanks for your partnership, George. Really, really kind. Thank you so much.
You've been watching, or if you've been listening by podcast, is Spiro Curry. He's CEO of TGS Esports, trades on the venture exchange on the stock symbol TGS. And for our friends in Europe on Frankfurt under 5RH. Look, lot to absorb. We know that it's esports. Not everyone's got their mind around it. Understanding that there's this professional video game world out there of 500 million people and growing in it. So if you like what you've heard today, want to learn more, get to the TGS Hub on Agoracom. Take a look at that profile page. We break it down really nice for you to really understand, especially for older, like I'm going to say this, especially for older investors who can't really wrap their minds around it. But trust me, esports is real. It's happening. Then get over to the TGS website, do some more due diligence, because there's no stopping esports in this decade. And if you want exposure to it, TGS is a company you definitely should be considering. Don't say we didn't tell you so. And hopefully you discovered your next small cap company. Have a great day. Talk to y'all next time.